my dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon, and today I've got another book talk video to share with you guys. And today we are talking about The Other People by C.J. Tudor. Now, I picked up this book mainly because of the blurb here at the top. It's from Stephen King. It says, if you like my stuff, you'll like this. And I thought, you know, that's short, sweet, to the point. I was like, okay, let's give it a try. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, if you love thrillers, if you love mysteries, you would probably love this. This book is filled with so many twists and turns, some that go to really dark places, and I couldn't get enough of it. It's a quick read. Once you start, you can't stop turning those pages until you get to the very end, and loved it. So this is the kind of book that there are so many twists and turns that if I were to sit here and go pace by pace throughout the entire story, we'd be here all afternoon. So for this one, I'm just going to kind of give more of a general review, and then you can decide for yourself if you want to pick it up and give it a read. So the book starts off and we meet a man named Gabe. He's in his car driving home. He's been away all day. Not at work, but we don't know where. We do know from sort of flashbacks to conversations with his wife that she's getting a bit annoyed at him and the hours that he's gone, about missing dinners and whatnot. So he is really trying his hardest to get home on time today so he can be there when he said he's going to be there. So as he's driving, he notices a car pull up in front of him. So now they're driving ahead of him on the highway. And all of a sudden he sees his like 5-year-old daughter in the back of that car. At least it looks just like his 5-year-old daughter, but like that'd be weird because his 5-year-old daughter, of course, is at home with his wife Jenny. So his daughter's name is Izzy, his wife is Jenny. He's really taken aback seeing this little girl in the back of the car. And then she's looking at him and she mouths the word daddy. And that really solidifies it for him. He's like, okay. And then all of a sudden the car sort of speeds up and he starts speeding up with it, trying to keep pace with it. But eventually it's going too fast and he can't keep up. So he decides he's going to pull over to the side of the road and call his wife to figure out what the heck's going on. And he figures he'll call home. Everything will be fine. It'll just be this coincidence that he saw a little girl that looked just like his daughter in the back of a random car who's mouthing the word daddy to him. So he calls his wife and an unfamiliar voice answers, asks, you know, is this Mr. whoever, Wilson, I think maybe, is this Mr. Wilson? And he says yes, and he said, the other voice says, you need to get home. I'm police detective whoever. I need to talk to you about your wife and your daughter. And then, so we're sort of cut back and forth between that time period and then 3 years in the future, which is where the book takes place. It's been 3 years. We learned that when Gabe had returned home that afternoon, he had been told that his wife and his daughter were killed in their home and that their bodies were taken away and that he needed to identify them. And he's like, well, I don't really need to identify them because it can't be them because I just saw my daughter on the highway in the back of a random stranger's car, and if she's there, then my wife's probably with her too. And the police are like, listen, you don't understand, we have their bodies, both of them. And Gabe cannot believe it. So he goes to his in-laws' house eventually, and they're kind of helping him get up the strength to go down there. His mother-in-law gives him like a pill to calm his nerves, and they head to where they've got to go identify the bodies. And as Gabe's getting ready to go in, he gets very ill. He can sort of see them from a distance. He hasn't gone in to identify them yet, but just seeing that causes him to first begin to vomit just over and over again, and then he passes out. He wakes up in a hospital where he is informed that in his inability to identify the body, his father-in-law has done it and has positively identified both of them. So now in the present day timeline, which is when the book takes place, like I said, 3 years later, Gabe is living his life in his van, pretty much. He's abandoned his family home because he can't bear to be in there. And he's living in his van and he is just constantly in motion, driving the highways, trying to find his daughter, because he knows that his daughter is not dead, that his daughter is somewhere and she has been taken. So he is just constantly driving around, handing out missing persons pamphlets, handing out, pinning up missing persons posters all over the place. Just doing everything he can to find her. At the time, the police, you know, first of all, he was a suspect, because oftentimes it's a family member or a friend or someone you know who is the perpetrator of such crimes. But after a while, they decide, no, it wasn't him. But even still, they don't believe him. They don't have that belief system that his daughter's out there somewhere. They're like, listen, your father-in-law identified her. You think he wouldn't recognize his own granddaughter? They're gone and you need to move on. One of the police officers is even like, she's like, listen, you're still relatively young. He's like in his early 40s. She's like, why don't you move, pack up, go live somewhere on a beach somewhere nice and warm. Go restart your life, meet someone. Let this go and just live. Because what you're doing now, this isn't driving around trying to find your kid, isn't living. But of course, that's all well and good for someone to say, but as a parent, if you had even the slightest sliver of an inkling that maybe your kid was alive out there somewhere with God knows who being treated in God knows what way, you wouldn't just pack up your things and head to the beach. You'd be like, I'm going to do this until either A, I find her, or two, until either A, I find her, or B, I'm dead. So I get that. So from there, the book goes on. We meet a lot of other players, because of course he's not the only player in this game. There are all kinds of different people that we meet. One is a waitress in a rest stop that he frequents when he's out driving around. Of course, every couple hours he's gonna stop for some coffee, to use the bathroom, gas up. There's a man who becomes known to us as the Good Samaritan, who becomes a very important player in this book with the things that he does and the things that he knows and the ways that he helps Gabe. And his in-laws become an important part of this story and the mystery of what's happening. With every few chapters, I was just surprised with something that I read, and I love when that happens. Now, some of the twists and turns I did guess, because I feel like when you read a lot of thrillers or mysteries, as soon as you start reading it, your brain starts spinning, thinking of all the craziest shit you can think of for what might be happening, because you're used to these twists and turns, so you can kind of predict where they're going. So for some, I was able to predict. But you know what? That doesn't even bother me. When I can predict a twist, as long as it's well written, I still love it. That doesn't make the book any less valuable in my mind. My reading experience is not hampered by that in any way. But some I didn't see coming. Some I was like, oh, okay, you got me there. And that's always fun when that can happen. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. And it was a great read. CJ Tudor, I had never read anything by her before, but it seems like she has a few other books that also seem like thrillers out. So based on how much I love this, I would definitely be keeping an eye out for her other books. So that's always fun when you come across a new author whose back catalog you can't wait to jump into. So let me know in the comments down below if you've read this or if you've read any other things by CJ. I think it says here that she also wrote The Chalk Man and The Hiding Place. Yeah, and it was just great. It was great. So next up, for next week's book talk, we're going to be reading My Dark Vanessa, which just came in the mail today from Chapters, so I'm excited to jump into that tonight. Also, coming up this weekend, I'm going to be filming it tonight actually, but coming up this weekend, I think I'll probably post it tomorrow, is going to be my first installment of reading an entire novel to you guys, to kind of give you guys something to do while you're stuck at home, if you want something to fall asleep to or just something to listen to during the day we're gonna be reading a classic. I'm still not entirely sure yet which one. I've got like 3 titles in mind, and I keep going back and forth between which one I want to start with first. So you'll have to tune in tomorrow to discover which book we're starting with. And yeah, I hope you enjoy that. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a great weekend, you know, whatever that means in this day and age. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, you guys. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.